Hallelujah. No greater love makes my heart beat. All I wanna do is make you proud of me. That's why I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Let's go. How can it be? Every one of my secrets that you keep. You cover me. You cover me. I appreciate it. A mystery. It's amazing how your patience with me, God will never leave. You don't give up on me. Don't ever leave. Help me. Help me to see like you. Like you. No matter what I go through. Hey. Everything's working for my good for a way. Let me tell you what he does. He saves the day. And he will come through. Hallelujah. He won't allow, that's not what superheroes do. Not real superheroes. No greater love. Love like this makes my heart beat. And I promise you, all I wanna do is make you proud of me. That's why I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Yes. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I searched all over. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. That's right. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Yes. And the church sang, come on. Jesus loving you will be the death of me. It sounds crazy, don't it? Hey. That's how it's supposed to be. Let me tell you what it means. More or less of me. That's why I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Father. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I really mean it this time. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Jesus. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Let me tell you what he does. He saves the day. Come on. He will come through. He will let you down, but he won't allow, that's not what superheroes do. See, I will never find no greater love. A love like this makes my heart beat. Forever and a day. All I wanna do is make you proud. Let me say it again. He saves the day. Oh, he will come through. It feels so good. He won't allow, that's not what superheroes do. Yes. No greater love. Hallelujah. Makes my heart beat. For the rest of my life. All I wanna do is make you proud. Everybody sing. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. You're the Savior. I don't wanna love nobody but you. I don't wanna love nobody but you. Yes. I don't wanna love nobody but you.
God, we thank you for another opportunity. We thank you for just your grace, your mercy, Lord. We just pray that you continue to guide us, give us wisdom, Lord. And we thank you for your forgiveness. Lord, we pray and honor you, Lord. And we just want to make sure we do everything for your glory, God. And it's in your son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All righty. Welcome to the Glory Stories, spiritual networking platform that strives to bring light to God's glory by allowing individuals to share their stories and their testimonies. I'm your host, Corinne Wiggins. Kept the main thing with a spiritual spark and a prayer to lead us off tonight. We have a great segment put together for you. We hope you all enjoy. A few notes before we start, though. It's our weekly $2 Tuesday this evening. If you aren't familiar with it, we want to show our appreciation for the support of our viewers. And we do that by allowing you to receive a $2 compensation concluding the episode. If you're one of the first 15 people to share this live on Facebook, and since we're transitioning to Instagram, switching it up a little from Twitter, if you're one of the first 15 to add 2 people under this live in the comments, so $1 a person, essentially. When we close for the night, you have the opportunity to receive a $2 compensation. Furthermore, if for some reason you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can catch all of those on either our Facebook, Twitter, and as of late, our Instagram page as well. As always, while you're there, feel free to follow us and stay connected. we will have a few different things brewing outside of the episode. So, that'll be your opportunity kind of to stay tapped in and be on the lookout for those as well. As well as while you're there, feel free to DM us, reach out. If you'd like to be a feature, feature your story, promote a business, or know of someone who could benefit from this, feel free to share this opportunity, and we will try to make something work for sure. We want to serve as many people as possible and want to touch the masses, right? So now that we have, got that out the way, the good stuff, we'll jump into the good stuff, which y'all, really tuned in for. The man of the hour, right? First up, kicking us off for the night to discuss a little bit about his current YouTube channel and his journey is a gentleman who I've always appreciated and enjoyed as an administrator and leader. Always stayed, the same cool dude, as well as leading me and other students, but was able to still be cool, but had a respect of leadership, and I feel that it's a key and a quality that a lot of people kind of overlook and aren't really blessed with, but the great ones are. So I definitely do appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing about it. And without further ado, let's bring in the principal of Valley Elementary School here in the Bull City, Principal Mr. Jason Jowers. Let's get him in here. Yes, sir, Mr. Jowers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How we doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm well, sir. Thanks for joining us, man. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, man. As we mentioned, or as I mentioned briefly a little earlier, take a moment to talk about your current YouTube journey, your channel, the purpose, content, and the process it took for you to come about starting it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I've started going on 2 months now. Started it in August. It's called the Principal Jowers channel. Again, the Principal Jowers channel. So if you go to YouTube, just type in the Principal Jowers. It'll take you right to my channel. We try to put up an episode every Monday morning. And the episodes, it's an informational channel where I try to attack a lot of different topics from current events to misconceptions throughout history, through urban vernacular that we speak incorrectly, and but trying to give a historical context of where it comes from. My major in college was history, so I like to try to understand the historical context behind a lot of things. Right now in this election season, it's giving me a lot of content to talk about, from the Republican National Convention to the Democratic National Convention to things happening with our president, to popular culture topics like police brutality, what we have going on now. And it's just so many things. And so what I try to do is address some of these issues that our nation is dealing with, but try to give some historical background and foundation from whence they come and how we got to the place where we are. So, I not too long ago did an episode on is white privilege a myth? Is white privilege a myth? And I tried to address the whole notion of white privilege, and people on the right side of the aisle would say white privilege is a myth, and people on the left side and a lot of African Americans and people of non-white descent would tell you otherwise. So what I want to do is take an unbiased, nonpartisan approach to topics like that and try to just present you the facts and let you decide for yourself what you believe is true. So I don't want to come off as overly liberal or overly conservative, Democratic or Republican. I want to stay neutral, but give you the facts from both sides and allow you to formulate your own opinion. And in the midst of that, I am a principal also. It's an educational channel. I try to give you the key, what I call the keys, so you can keep educating yourself. And so with that, I also want to periodically give tips to parents as it pertains to parents that have school-age kids, how you can support them in school, what kind of conversations do you need to have with administrators, what kind of conversations do you need to have with the teacher to make sure that your child is successful. So a lot of different things, but more than anything, it's an educational, informational channel. And once again, it's The Principal Jowers on YouTube. On Instagram, you can follow me at The Principal Jowers as well.
Definitely. I appreciate that, Mr. Jowers. We're, based on your channel, and you kind of gave a rundown on it, you talked about, mainly your topics that you discussed. where would you say that you tend to get the motivation for certain topics you discuss? Are they things that you experienced growing up or always wanted to talk about? And, are they solely based on current events or things like that?
Yeah, great question. So originally, a friend of mine and we wanted to do something like this a couple of years ago. And we wanted to address topics that really were affecting the Black community. And for me, it became a challenge because I am somewhat of a public figure being a principal. And so I didn't want to put too many of my views out there and potentially have my kids or my parents at the school or my teachers look at it. And because of my views different from theirs, they start looking at me sideways. So it was really a fine balance I've had to try to walk in. So that particular angle didn't work. And so that's why with the channel now, I try to address it just from a nonpartisan perspective, but address topics and issues and just provide information on things that I think is valuable to the society, to individuals. And so a lot of the inspiration comes from, again, just what's happening in the world. And then again, just topics that have baffled me throughout history. So a topic that I'm going to be talking about soon is, was desegregation good for the Black community? And so we all know about Brown versus Board of Education and the breakdown of Jim Crow and the end of separate but equal. And so what I want to try to do is dive into the effects of that 60 years later. Have we benefited from that? Would we have been better off just staying over here and Caucasian people staying over there, commingling where we can, but not really forcing it? And it's a loaded topic, so it'll probably be like a 2 or 3 part series. But some things like that just interest me, and just from casual conversations I have, try to bring that up. But another topic I'm gonna talk about soon is President Trump just issued his idea for the Platinum Plan, or his last push to try to attract the Black community and try to gain that vote. And so he's offering a lot of stuff. And so I want to go through line by line and just break down every plank within the Platinum Plan and just see what's realistic, what's fallacy, what has been tried before and failed, what doesn't quite make sense. Again, just to try to give people the keys to keep educating themselves.
Absolutely, definitely, man. And I'm like I said, I've caught quite a few of your segments thus far. I definitely tapped into the very first one, the about the legacy, I believe, as well
John
as
Lewis.
Right, John Lewis, and then I caught the you mentioned in reference to white privilege. I saw that a little bit as well, and I saw a little bit of your most recent one, the No Justice, No Peace.
Yes.
As well, also.
Peace, no justice. Yeah. The inspiration for that was just, you think about the Breonna Taylor situation, and after they kind of come up with a verdict, now we're starting to get more and more information that might have not been shared with the jurors, and just the whole idea of what happened in general with the warrants and things, just a lot of question marks, and a lot of people feeling like she didn't get justice. And just, again, from a historical perspective, a lot of people are wondering why there's such an outcry. And when you think about, for a long time, in the reality for communities of color, no justice. When things happen as it pertains to whether it's the FBI, whether it's just, city or county police officers, and people dying, but again, no justice. But when we get frustrated and we act out, it's our, we should do it peacefully. And, we did it peacefully for a long time. And what I keep telling people, this younger generation, they're not having it the same way. And so some things going to have to change, because they're not going to be peaceful. And if things don't change, stuff going to get is going to continue to get tore up, and cities are going to continue to burn. So hopefully we can find some resolve. But, I'm not condoning the violence or, tearing down buildings and things like that. But I definitely understand. I also think there's some radical elements that have attached themselves to the movement that aren't necessarily for the movement as well, which I think is has been very counterproductive to what's been trying to be accomplished. But people move when stuff gets torn down. It is what it is. People don't move as fast when you move peacefully. So and then even when you say peacefully, Colin Kaepernick took a knee. That wasn't peaceful enough. So what is peaceful? Peaceful is relative to who's calling it peaceful.
Definitely. And Principal Jowers, the last question, man, before we get your fellow counterparts on, would be, being that you're a principal, has it been challenging to balance your recordings and releasing your videos and your episodes, while resolving school issues virtually? And how have you been able to manage that? And I know y'all might hear a little bit of an echo and things like that, but just bear with us. My mic kind of messed up. I appreciate that.
I'll say this, it's definitely been a challenge. Before school started back, I was in the lab and I could cook up as much as I needed to, but now being back in session, having to adapt to virtual learning is new for everyone. So trying to learn the most effective ways to meet the needs of our families, to meet the needs of our scholars at Valley, while trying to do this thing on the side that I'm passionate about as well. And then stay up to date on what are the popular topics, what are the current events, what's happening in the world, what are some things that I want to address that people may not be familiar with. One of the topics I did was, are you an Uncle Tom? And so just trying to speak to the whole nature of what is an Uncle Tom and how people use that terminology out of context. But for me to do that, I have to do a certain level of research because I know some stuff, but for me to go deep as I want to, I have to find time to do research. So definitely have to be disciplined. It becomes even more challenging considering I have a family. I have a toddler who commands all the attention. But again, when you're passionate about stuff, you find time to make it work. I have an incredible support system around me. My wife is amazing and allows me the time to do what I need to do. She records all of my videos. I actually have a former Hillside Hornet, Victoria Powell, who edits all my videos for me. She just graduated from UNCG, working on her master's now, starting point guard at UNCG, her last year eligibility. So just using my network, people who I've come in contact with, communicated with. My first videographer was a former teacher of mine, Jason Prince, who didn't charge me anything, was just believed in the vision of what I was trying to do and would find time in his schedule to help me out. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, but something I'm passionate about, something I want to, again, help just continue to educate people, really educate our community so we can be more informed about what's happening around us.
Definitely, most definitely. Again, y'all, Principal Jowers. If you're at YouTube, step into the Principal Jowers channel. Check it out.
Well, let me get that subscribe. I need all those subscribers.
I need them, definitely. Well, Principal Jowers, man, in the book of James, it says, not many of you should become teachers, my believers, because we who teach will be judged more strictly. Along with yourself and the other two gentlemen that are about to join us, this is something you all have come to understand the importance of, I'm sure, throughout your journey and your purpose in it. I'm extremely humbled to have you all joining, at once and speaking about that purpose and your leadership. So let's bring in Dr. Michael Fuga, principal of Neal Middle School, and Dr. William Logan, principal of my alma mater, the Hillside. Yes, sir. Here we go. Definitely. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. Doing great.
I appreciate it. Again, man, like you heard me kind of reference with Principal Jowers, I'm going to speak a little bit about you all's leadership and that process that you all are going through kind of with your virtual journey. The first question I have is, what have been some of your most enjoyable moments as a principal and, some of your more challenging moments? And you can, I guess, Principal Jowers can go first and, Dr. Fuga, then Dr. Logan as well.
Yeah, so some of my most, you said some of my best moments and some of my most challenging moments.
Right, most enjoyable moments and more challenging moments.
I think some of the most enjoyable moments for me have been those moments when you see kids or you see teachers accomplish things they weren't necessarily sure they were going to accomplish, or things that they thought that they would accomplish, but you saw them put in the work, and then you see them with the reward at the end of the day. So one thing I think about, I always tell people, my journey when I was at Hillside with Doc was, I remember the class of 2015, I believe it was, who came in with me as freshmen. And so it was real like sentimental for me watching them graduate. But the bigger thing was they got $12 million in scholarships that year, 12.4 million. Their goal, however, was 15 million, and they were disappointed in 12.4 million. And it was just like, just seeing their maturity, seeing their growth, and seeing the fact that any other school would be like shouting in church for 12.4 million. And they were disappointed because their goal was 15 million, but they just spoke to the work. And Doc will tell you, when we first got the hill, you was there, Core. It was rough now. And so to see, what they were able to accomplish, and that just competitive nature and that competitive energy that they had begun putting in their academics. They had the highest graduation cohort out of the large comprehensive high schools in Durham that year. Like, that was a monumental feat. From when we first got the graduation rate was less than 70%. And then that year it was over 90. So it just spoke volumes to the work, and it's always good to see the rewards of the hard work that you put in. Some of the more challenging moments is just looking at, when I was at the high school level, you could see you would get kids that at times were so far behind. It was just like, man, it's going to take a miracle for this kid to make it out. And I would see it at the end of the road then. The last few years now, being an elementary school principal, I can see that kid, but at 5 or 6 years old. And that's scary for me, because I think about, even if while they're under my leadership, we get them to a good place by the time they're in the 5th grade, because there are so many aggravating factors around them, it's potential. It's a high potential that they could get to middle school, or they could get to high school, still get lost in the shuffle. And because they don't have that support, that foundation and that support with them, all that work we might have put in, it could be for naught. It could carry them through. You just don't know. And because, I let them go after 11 years old, after 5th grade, at that point, all you can do is pray. But you can see how that kid could potentially end up being that high school kid who you got in the 9th grade and never possibly made it out of high school, or maybe never graduated from high school, or maybe they graduate from high school, but they don't have a lot of options. And so they end up in the system or something like that. And that's not a story that happens a ton of times, but when you really in this because you love it and you want to see the kids be successful, everyone that you lose, like, you feel that. And so those are some of the more challenging experiences that I've had.
Definitely. Dr. Fuga?
Yeah, I think since I was young, since I was 12, all I've ever wanted to do was be a teacher and a coach. And I think you get into education, I think all of us did, to make a difference. But I think when you're young, you don't know what that difference is. But as you get into it, the difference has a face. It has a name with all the students that are attached to making that difference. You get into it and you see the difference that's made because of the teachers you've worked alongside of, or the families you've helped, or the kids that you've really served. And they go on and do the things like Jowers was talking about, is, they persevered through whatever it is that they had the difficulties, and you help them through that process to be successful. I think it makes you feel the value of the life that you live, that you wake up every day and you go to a school and you help kids, teachers, and families get closer to their goals. I think that's the whole reason that we got into it in the first place. So I think that's the humbling blessing that we serve every day. The challenges, in all honesty, we got into this for kids. The challenges, from my experience, come from the adults. Most of the times, the things that the kids are dealing with, they're kids. They didn't put themselves in a lot of those situations. And so it's our responsibility as educators to help them out of it. And sometimes our teachers can be more of a barrier or an obstacle than they are of a road to a path to help. And same thing with some families. So I think our job is to really break things down to help the kids the best we can. And sometimes that's breaking down with adults as well, to get them to see some things and get out of our own ways. I'm not saying that I haven't done it as well. Like, I have all the answers. I don't think so, but I think you put the right people around you to put your kids in a position to be successful. And I think that's what we're in this for. And I'm blessed to work alongside these two gentlemen because I learned so much. I learned more from the kids and from the adults that I work with, though. It's such a humbling thing, as you think, you go to school, you get these degrees and these credentials, but I'm the one that learns daily. And I think that's probably one of the best things in the job too, is that I'm constantly learning. You think about right now going through virtual learning. If you'd have told me 15 years ago when I got into education that in 15 years, everything's going to be online. This is forced online. But I would have said, I'm not prepared for that. I don't know enough to even understand what that looks like. And to be honest, every day I'm learning what I'm supposed to even be seeing when I go into these classrooms to get to know my kids. And that's probably the hardest piece in this is we all got into it to connect the kids. And now like our sixth graders that I've never met, I'm popping onto these Zoom classrooms and I don't know them yet. So I'm trying to get to know kids while also trying to help teachers navigate the virtual learning piece. So I think that's our current challenge.
Definitely. Doc?
So yeah, I would definitely have to concur with both Dr. Fuga and Mr. Jowers. I mean, when I think about the things that are most rewarding, really just seeing students, seeing my colleagues grow and develop and achieve some of the things that they've set out to do. Like Mr. Jowers said earlier, when we first got there, it was some work. It was a lot of work, but it was good work, and it was laudable work, and it was spiritual work when it was all said and done. And I always tell myself, and I tell people often, when I think about where we were and where we are right now, it's all spiritual. Like, hands down, I just thank God he placed me in a position to be able to
Absolutely.
be an instrument to then connect with other tools to architect what we have right now and what we're becoming. And so again, when I think about the rewards, seeing teachers become assistant principals become teachers, students, like Mr. Jowers said, you develop a culture where students are now becoming competitive and they own the graduation rate. They own the number of scholarships that they earn. And I could just go on. And I would think about the championships and athletics and the camaraderie and the fact that students see Hillside as a home. Like that's what is most important to me. Yeah. Where it's a safe space for so many of them. The challenges, to be honest, like I like a challenge, right? I like problem solving. I like trying to figure it out. But then there are those things that come with the job that, like losing a student, like that never, I don't care how you have lost the student, it just never rests well with your spirit. And I can remember distinctly a few years ago, we lost a student and, the circumstances were such where, it was out there in the media or whatever the case may be. And I did an interview and I shared what my story was with this student. Like he never disrespected me. He always did what I asked him to do. He may not have done that for everybody else, but it's not my place to judge him based on his treatment of you. I'm talking about my interaction with him. Absolutely. And, fast forward, like I got calls from people in Ohio, somebody in a neighboring school system that literally called my job and essentially threatened me and ridiculed me. How do you call this? That's a thug. He's a bum. He's a loser. And you talking about he's a good person. So it just lets you know where people are. Because at the end of the day, you're still dealing with children, right? And, there are consequences and things that we have to apply, certainly, but they're still children. And as somebody alluded to earlier, like at the end of the day, they're usually victims of their circumstances. And sometimes their circumstances are such where they feel compelled to do a certain thing. And unfortunately, again, like they have to deal with harsher consequences. So like those are some of the more challenging things for me when I think about, the work that we do. Seeing students not get the things that they want, that they worked hard for, but, also coaching them through, like, if one door closes, God has something bigger and better for you. Like, you have to trust that. Like, you just have to trust that. And, so that would be what I would have to say in response to that question.
Definitely. All those great answers, man. And in those moments is, you all pretty much alluded to, is when your faith was tested, the most, I'm pretty sure, along with the support system. You find out who's truly in your corner, You know, you kind of alluded to the support maybe from your staff and people around you, or who just people that's just really in your business. You know, you said someone from a whole nother job or place, they call and, you know, want to have a comment about a situation that you had all the way over here in your area, you know. So it definitely in that moment, I know it's you know, all that stuff was tested. So my question would be, so how important is support from your families, you know, administration, staff, the school system, students, and even, you know, your parents when leading your institutions? And we can go back to, you know, Principal Jowers and then go on.
That's key. Having a strong support system when you think about whether you're married, whether you're single, if you have kids, whatever the case, whoever the people are in your life and the people that are closest to you, it's important that you have people in this work because you put in so many hours beyond what you're paid for, that they understand the commitment that you have chosen to take, and that they are on board with that, and they understand that sometimes that the amount of time that they have you, or that they have to share you, you essentially are sharing. They're essentially sharing you with an entire community of people. When you think about in Doc's case, you're talking about over 1,000 families. When you think about Dr. Fuga's case, you're talking about close to 1,000 families that they have to share you. When you think about athletic events and arts events, like this is day in and day out that people have to be comfortable sharing you with the entire community. And so if you don't have that support system, it can definitely cause an extra strain on you. I think it's also important to have a strong foundation of teachers around you that you can trust and that trust you. So this is the third school I've been the principal of now, and I kind of have a reputation of like I'm not going by myself. Like I'm taking my team with me at this point. When I came to the school I'm at now, the first year I came by myself just to prove to everybody that I did have the juice. But after that, I had to get the band back together. Like I wasn't doing that. I was crazy for doing it the first time, trying to prove stuff to people. But at this point, it just doesn't make sense. If you have that nucleus of people around you that know the vision, that are going to run for you, run through that wall with you, go ahead and take them with you, because you can accelerate the growth process even faster with that. And people that's not on board, people that's not for you, you just got to move on. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You have to be okay with that. And that hadn't always been an easy thing for me, because you want to try to save everybody, and you want to try to, as much as possible, just build those relationships with people. But everybody shouldn't be in your life. And as I get older, and I'm the youngest one on this call, but as I get older, I realize that more and more, and you hear the old people say it, and my patience just wears thin. And you know, you still want to maintain a level of empathy, but at the same time, you just don't have time for foolishness and nonsense, and people don't mean well by you. And so if they want to get off the ship, you want to help them.
Absolutely. Dr. Fuga?
Jowers firing that jab like I'm old. Come on, man. No, but we don't do any of this in isolation or alone. I think you don't lead anything without people around you, right? And I think he alluded to the team. We don't do anything at Neal without the administrative team that I'm so fortunate to work with. And I've had a couple assistant principals move on that were part of the team to get principal jobs or promotions. But Mr. Covington and Mr. Biggs, like the admin team that we've created, Dr. Bryant, like the people that we have with us are what drives the shit, right? They've been with us at Neal for 6 years. I've been a principal at Rogers-Hurd for 4 years. I was an AP at Southern. And the thing that I've taken that we use as a motto this year, and we have, is family. Like, this is the Neal family. And I've addressed it at Rogers-Hurd when I was there, at Neal. It's always, this is the family. And every phone call I make every week, hey, Neal family, like, we're in this together. And that's where there's the piece where you're allowed to be constructive and not always agree and have disagreements, right? You disagree with your family, but at the end of the day, it's all with the intent of love. And that we are having the same mission and purpose. And that's for every single kid that comes through our building to be better than they were when they came to us. And I think that's our goal. And as long as you build a staff around you with the heart for kids, now all of a sudden you're building the right people to take those kids everywhere they need to go. And I think that's what we've really created, is that sense of family. I'm also fortunate that I've learned life lessons that I didn't prioritize my own family right the first time, in all honesty. In full transparency, I was not the best husband because I was working the hours as a high school assistant principal at Southern, being at every sporting event, everything, while trying to be a doctoral student. So I'm in class, I'm doing research, I'm in the library. There was no time for me to be the best significant other to my now ex-wife, right? And so what I've learned in this is to prioritize that family first in your own, or else you don't have enough to give to the family that Jowers alluded to, that you're sharing with 1,000 kids every year, 1,000 families every year. And I think it's hard for sometimes teachers and kids and their parents and their families to understand that there's only one of you, because they want to stretch you so thin. I bet they can both attest. The phone starts going off at 5 a.m. and it doesn't stop till 11:30 because somebody needs something at all times. And so you are split and you are shared, but unless you can give that to the family you have at home and they're not on the same boat. I'm fortunate now, my girlfriend is an assistant principal at Merrick Moore. She understands the nature of the job that we're doing together. So I've got that support system that she believes in the same mission and vision, because she's serving the same kids that come to Neal. So she understands what it is that we're doing and we're in this together. My daughter, I posted on Facebook that she's my hero because she really is. She's 8. And she's been through the fact that she has split time with her mom and myself, and she does everything with a heart of empathy for others. And she's so in tune and like societally and socially aware as an 8-year-old that she does this all with a smile, knowing that this isn't the ideal situation. And she's able to talk to other kids going through similar situations because she's just so in tune to this isn't the ideal thing, but it's what I have to go through. So I love my dad and his significant other. I love my mom and her husband. And so I've learned to prioritize family and build it, but I've had to learn the hard way. So I always then try and part that upon others to share from my own lived and learned experiences.
Absolutely. Deep. Doc?
So yeah, I know a support system is crucial. Like when I reflect on my experiences in leadership, especially when I transferred or when I was moved from New Tech to Hillside, one of my initial concerns was like the support system I had in parents. Like I'm going to lose that support system, because I'm talking about a connection that I had with parents where, you know, we would get together and do a big Thanksgiving or a big dinner, a luncheon for the students for winter, before we went on winter break. A big field day at the end of the school year for the students, like, because we're a close-knit community, right? And so like I thought I was gonna lose that closeness, only to find out like not only did I get blessed with, and I mean I was certainly blessed with my colleagues and students there as well, but it was a different kind of connection that I experienced transferring to Hillside, because not only did I get an opportunity to build relationships with parents and find a support system in parents, but also the same thing holds true in my colleagues and students. It's just funny how God works, right? Like you try to, as a leader, you try to be consistent and you try to maintain steadiness and be even keeled. And when you're, you know, having that down moment or whatever the case may be, professionally or personally, you know, he'll send somebody in there to cheer you up, you know, to say, you know, you're doing a great job. Thank you for what you're doing. Like, you know, people don't know how far that goes in leadership, because while we might circle ourselves with a support system, you know, that old adage, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Like you bear that by yourself. Like you at the end of the day, you do this by yourself.
Absolutely.
But that's all the more importance of having a support system around you. And certainly, you know, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And when my grandma passed a couple of years ago, you know, I was literally kind of like afraid, because I was like, I know this is a praying woman and I know she prays for me and for my health and strength and for me to be able to do what I'm doing. And I was like, darn, I'm feeling like I'm losing, you know, a key prayer warrior. And I was like, what is that going to do for me in the professional setting? And, you know, again, thinking about some of the things that she taught me, my mom taught me, aunts and uncles, and, you know, learning through other people, like, you know, I had to feel comfortable knowing that, you know, the support was still there. And the things that she was teaching me, I had to make sure that, you know, I kept those things with me, you know. But again, you know, people standing in the gap, because sometimes when you're on the go, not you, but me, speaking from myself, like you forget like to send up a prayer or to ask for guidance, you know, because sometimes you're just always on the go. And it's not until that moment when the dust has settled and you need to reflect and think about, okay, now I need to pray. And no, sometimes you need to pray when you're going through the thing. And so I say all of that to say, like, for me, a lot of my strength, I know comes through the support and prayers of those who are around me. And I certainly appreciate it.
Definitely, Doc. Now, I appreciate that. Appreciate all those responses, man. So everyone that's watching, y'all understand how important your families and everything, you know, support is, you know. So y'all parents, you know, and guardians, families in general, be tangible and present with these students and these kids, man, as they're growing up. You know, be at them parent meetings, you know, it's essential, you know, when you can anyway. I know it's all virtual at the moment. So we all kind of, I don't know, they might coordinate maybe through a Zoom now at this point, but log into the Zoom, man. Heck, I know it made a huge difference for myself and definitely my peers. Just having that support and really from the administration as well, you know, them being tangible, because it's definitely something that when you coming up, you know, you don't always, you know, sometimes being on good terms with maybe your brother or your family or something like that, you might need another avenue. And you know, having that support is something that's very important. And granted, like y'all kind of alluded to, I know all circumstances, you know, aren't the same for everyone. You know, it may be different. I'm not ignorant to that fact. You know, I understand that. But again, not only so much is it the parents and the individuals being supportive, you being the one to seek the help and guidance and being receptive of that is important as well. You know, don't be prideful, you know, and try and do everything on your own, because you know, the word talks about pride go up before the fall, right? So it definitely you know, will just make everything worse essentially. But lastly, gentlemen, you know, before we transition to the game, let y'all do a little, you know, competing a little bit. Last question, or, you know, just kind of comment would be, what are some tips you would like to say to your parents and the students, you know, as we continue to embark on this COVID virtual learning journey to assist with the support and success for this school year?
I'll go. Well, this year, you know, each year we have a motto. And this year our motto is hashtag a new thing. And my challenge and my charge to parents, students, teachers, you know, we have to be really cautious about lending our ear to misery because it becomes infectious. And we need to figure out, how do we become resilient in this moment? How do we persevere in this moment? How do we coach our kids to persevere and be resilient as well? Because they're modeling us. And the last thing we want to do is like teach children that it's okay to quit. It's okay to give up. And that's not what we want to do. We know it's challenging. I know it's challenging and it's different, but we have to persevere. And, you know, God doesn't give us more than what we can bear. And we can see ourselves and we can see our way through this if we work collaboratively, be communicative, and just be diligent about the entire process. You know, many of us have experiences where students haven't even logged in to some of their classes. You know, we run reports to look at attendance and to look at grades, and, you know, some students haven't turned in any assignments. And so, like, I'm very candid with our parents, like, you know, when I send out phone messages, well, what is the other option besides doing the work except dropping out? And why is that an option for your children? Like, I don't think we have the luxury of skating around and circumventing the reality of not doing what it is that you need to do. And so, especially being the principal at a school primarily children of color, we already know what the we already know what the ramifications are if you're not educated, even if you aren't a child of color. But we know the profound impacts of not being educated and being of color, and it's just not a good look, and it's just not going to turn out well. And so we're trying to prevent that. And again, just embracing that motto, a new thing. Change is difficult, but it is possible, is what I would certainly reiterate and re-echo and send a resounding message to everybody, like, change is possible. Just embrace the new thing. Because at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, these computers are going to still be here. Nobody's going to throw these computers away when we come back to school.
Say it.
And there's going to be some hybrid model of what we're doing. Canvas is not going away. Like, and again, like, we just need to prepare ourselves for what we're going through and what will come of all of this.
Definitely. Dr. Fuga, Principal Logan.
Yeah,
Principal Jowers, what's up?
we could use this as an excuse, right, to put up walls and barriers, or we could use it as a way to say, on the flip side of this, because we are going to get to the flip side of this where we will be back in person, we're going to use this as a tool to learn and be better. And so what path are you going to choose? And for us at Neal, and I know these guys, there's no excuses, right? So let's put that path aside, because that's not the path we're choosing. So our teachers, no excuses. We've got to learn this. We've got to be better. And again, on the flip side of this, I think it's going to build the capacity in our kids and build the capacity of our teachers to be better students and better educators down the line. But we have to bridge the gap now. So let's figure it out together and be in this together, and focus on the positive. What can we gain out of this? And I try and focus on those positives for our school community, because what it has done, we've got almost 900 kids and we've given out over 800 laptops. So about 800 of our families made a commitment to come out to the school, to get the device, to get the information, to get connected. Whereas I could say that probably 40% or 50% of our families were really connected and communicating to the school before this. Now you're looking at a much higher percentage that are connected to the school. So let's take advantage, knowing that our parents are now connected to the school, and let's communicate. Let's effectively build that relationship now. Let's focus on the positives we can do. Every Wednesday, we're giving out 50 book bags, 50 food bags, and 30 hygiene bags every Wednesday. Families can sign up every Wednesday to come to the school to get those. So we're having, hundreds of families come every Wednesday to get other things and the needs, so that their needs can get met during this, to build that relationship and build that communication piece. We're looking for ways to do it. Different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Like, I think we
absolutely
make that as the excuse that it's uncomfortable. I don't like it. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. But once we make it comfortable, now we've just added another skill set to what we're trying to do, to communicate with families, to meet their needs. We're better as a school community when we get through this, and we will get through this. So let's focus on the positives of how we do that.
Definitely. Love it. Principal Jowers?
Yeah, I would just concur with everything that they said. And I would just add, being an elementary school principal here and dealing with the youngest kids, when you consider my school, we start at pre-K and we go through grade 5. When you think about a 4, 5, 6, or 7-year-old learning virtually, a kindergartner, this is their first experience to school, and they're learning via a computer. It's a joke. Let's just call it what it is. Like, we're doing it and we can feel good about ourselves. We gave everybody a device. We got them online, but then we have a maximum amount of time that we can educate them online, because we want to be sensitive to best practice as it pertains to how much screen time the kids should have. And so with that, you might get 1 45-minute live session tops with a 5, 6, or 7-year-old. Like, what are you really doing?
Right.
Now we're reducing the schedule from 7 hours to maybe 3.5, if that. And we're reaching when we do that. And so now more than ever, it's important for families and for parents, for if you the niece, the nephew, the uncle, the aunt, whatever, it's going to take the village. It's going to take holding each other accountable. If you have a younger niece, nephew, cousin, whatever, that their parent isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, like, you got to hold them accountable, because now you can't just say, I'm going to drop them off at the school and let the school do what they do.
Absolutely.
We get them 45 minutes at the K-5 level, maybe a little more than that. And then the rest is kind of on you. And we can give you the tools to be successful, but if you don't meet us halfway, you can forget about it. And unfortunately, we still are seeing where we have that, like Dr. Logan said, kids not logging on, kids not turning in assignments. And I don't want to sound negative, but I just want to get a reality of where we at. Now, I will say over 80% of our parents are locked in and they going hard doing whatever they got to do as much as they can. But you also have to understand people have to work. People have their own lives. They have their own challenges and circumstances that they're working with, which is why I say it's literally going to take the entire village. Dr. Logan and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. We said these kids still have to compete once COVID is done. So we can't blame COVID for the time period that COVID is going on and we're virtual. And then when the world opens back up and universities start looking at SATs again, start looking at GPAs again, we can't blame it on COVID at that point, because it's another group of kids out there that's still going to win regardless of how long we stay out of school. So we got to make sure that a lot of the kids who this group in particularly touches, that those kids are successful as well. But as a school, we're limited in what we can do. And so it's really dependent on us working together with the community, with the families and extended families, all getting on the same page to make sure these kids get everything they need so we can put them in position to succeed. It's one thing for us to put them in position. They don't do what they need to do to run the extra, that last leg. It's another thing when you're not even in position to succeed. And then you have to go out into the world without the skills that you need to have a chance. And so that's what we're facing at this point. When you think about the wealth gap that we have with white families versus black families, and that 10-to-1 wealth gap, and then you get experiences like COVID, and you think about how education can be the great equalizer, but then when you take away education of a virus, what does that now do to the wealth gap? What does that do to opportunities? How does that limit opportunities? And so it's so many variables at play, again, which is why it's ever so important that families are working with the schools. You won't get on our nerves. Well, I take that back. You might get on our nerves, but I you get on my nerves than me not be able to get in contact with you and your child miss out on it as a result. So, but shout out to all the families that are going above and beyond. I know everybody is out of their comfort zone. I always show love to my families because they're going hard, but we still have those out there that's slacking, acting like it's going to happen through osmosis, and it's not.
Definitely. And I know, for the past, I appreciate that, all that insight, gentlemen. I do. For the past 40 to 45 minutes, you all been on the same team, kind of to conclude. Have maybe 2 or 3 questions for y'all, man. Kind of a little trivia game. And then we can close it for the night. Share the screen and we can jump into it. All right, here we are. And the game y'all gonna play is called Who Knows What, right? You see the question on the screen. It's a multiple choice, and then you can just have the opportunity to choose, A, B, or C. We're gonna test some of that history knowledge in the education system. All right. So the question is, what year did the Durham City School System, now known as Durham Public School System, first begin to integrate?
You just yell out the answer.
Yeah, y'all. You can go. We can go one at a time.
I'll say C.
C.
I couldn't hear Dot. What Dot say?
No, I said C.
And the answer is C, gentlemen. You got that right. Definitely. Yeah, I threw that in there, man, to kind of take a little bit of that history. I didn't know that myself. I found it very interesting. Yeah.
Right after the Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yep.
Right. We're going to roll along. So everybody got a point on that one. Here we go. All right. Here's the second question. Staying with education. Who was the first Black member to be selected to the Durham City Board of Education in 1958? A, B, or C?
C.
I thought it was A, but I'll go A.
We got one A. We have one C.
I want to go C. I'm not sure who B is. Let's go C. I'll go C.
All right, we have A. We have A's and C's. And actually, The answer is B.
So when you were saying that, I was like, "Dang, Renter N. Harris. That's R.N. Harris."
Yeah, R.N. Harris. I threw that in there, man. 'Cause that was my school, as my elementary school as well, man. I had to show that support.
Didn't click it first.
Yeah, definitely. So still tied up 1-1. 1-1's across the board. Here we go. We're gonna switch the dynamic a little bit. Test some of that athletic.
Hey. I know this one. I know this one.
Hey.
We got A's, Doc.
I said A.
Answer actually is A. I tried to throw it in there, man, and trick y'all up a little bit because I was like, maybe they'll think the Bulls, but they actually won after that. Yeah, they won.
They were the lowest seed to ever win, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So I threw that in there, man. Get them boys some love. That was we came out of that game tied again. So the next game is called Pick the Misfit to finish the night. I'm gonna get that one up here and
is that between me, Jowers, and Doc?
I'm gonna actually do another who knows what for you, actually, before we do the Misfit. I'm gonna do a who knows what. Which of these television networks ranked top for most watched by total viewers in 2019?
I'll say C.
I'll say C.
Man, I have no idea. I don't watch TV other than sports. A. Just to be different than these guys, I gotta change the score up.
And the answer actually is C. It's CBS. It is. I was like, yeah, they probably get that one. That's why I threw that one at the end, kind of to even the playing field. I was like, they might know that one. But here we go. We go in the last game for the night, called Pick the Misfit. I'm gonna give y'all 2 of these questions, and then we can close it out for them. This game is a little tougher, so you get 2 points if you get it correct, right? You just had 3 questions on the screen, and essentially one of those is different, right? Something doesn't fit, right? So 2 of them have something in common, 1 doesn't. You choose which one does it. You get it correct, you get an opportunity to get 2 points for it. So the hint, you see that, is dogs.
So we're picking the one that don't belong, right?
Right, exactly.
C?
Yeah, C.
We got everybody went C?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually B.
I don't know what that is. Akita?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a Japanese bred dog, right? The other 2 are Chinese bred dogs.
Oh.
Right. So here we go. Yeah, just to kind of warm y'all up with that one. Here we go again. Pick the Misfit. The hint is movies.
C. They don't have Will Smith.
Right. C.
I'm gonna go with C.
Y'all sure?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The last 2.
The answer actually is A. Because look,
End of the world.
What is Aftermath?
Huh?
What is Aftermath?
That's actually a movie, and Will Smith actually is in that movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I Robot. And the Misfit is I Robot. Will. It was just Will that played himself in that movie, right? And the other 2 is Will and Jaden, his son, in those movies.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't see Aftermath, so.
Me neither. I never heard of it. So.
I gotta push back. Is it Aftermath or After Earth?
Aftermath, I believe. I think it's called Aftermath.
I gotta Google that.
Hey, you might have got me though. Oh, hey, this production, Jowers. I just go on screen.
Hey, that's like chow chow. Chow chow is something you put on hot dog.
That's what I thought.
Right.
I love chow chow.
Exactly.
Oh
I
man.
know him and Jaden were in a movie called After Earth. I don't know about Aftermath.
Oh, Aftermath, after Earth. There we go. Hey, I'll take
That's
that
why I never heard of it.
after the fact. Principal, because I just do what's what's given to me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna give y'all one question. We can end it on a final one winner take all right here. Here we go. Last one right there. Pick the misfit. The hint is music. Yeah, Jay-Z, Drake, and Lil Wayne.
Jay-Z, the misfit.
We have one Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
We have two Jay-Z's.
I can't go against them on this one. I'm trying to figure out what the difference could be. I'm trying to figure this one out.
I have an idea.
Jay-Z never did a collab with Lil Wayne.
I mean, I love the deliberating, fellas.
Drake and Lil Wayne both on Young Money.
I love it. But look, the answer I'm looking for is B. And I'm gonna tell you why. Look, Drake, right? My man Aubrey, his last name is Graham. The other two, as you all know where I'm going with this,
Carter.
Right.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. Definitely, man. That was it, man. I enjoyed
man, that's crazy. I'll be looking at your shows. I'll be like, man, I know all these questions. Then I get on, know the question.
Hey,
That's like Anthony White getting on Price is Right, baby, or on Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
I'm never going to I can answer all of the questions at home. I'm going to get to embarrass myself nationally and got to come back to Hillside.
No, definitely. And I enjoyed it again, gentlemen. And for everyone out there, man, no matter what, you must tell yourself, no matter how hard it gets, or if the going gets rough, just keep staying encouraged and always remember faith forward, keeping the main thing. I thank you all for tuning in. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for your stories. Everybody go vote. It's 9:00. Check out that debate. Hey, we need it. It's definitely much needed. And we'll see you all next time.
Principal Jowers channel on YouTube. Principal Jowers channel on YouTube.
Principal Jowers channel on YouTube. Any final tab you all would like to have, Dr. Fuga and Dr. Logan?
Absolutely. You have an 8th grader, a rising 8th grader, send them to Hillside. We'd love to have you.
Principal Fuga?
Oh no, I just enjoyed it, man. I love my counterparts, and I love what we're doing for Durham Public Schools children. Just keep us in prayer. I know we talk about, we get asked to pray for me, pray for us, things which we do, and we humbly do that. We love to do that, but we could use it too. Sometimes we are in isolation, so keep us in prayer as well, because that is the answer.
Definitely, most definitely, man. Again, thank you, gentlemen, a lot, man. It means a lot to me. I'll be in contact. I'm supporting any way I can. Hornet, hey, I love the city. Love what you all are doing. Y'all made a great impact on my life. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you too, man.
Great work, man. Love you.